bring it back up, please. All right. All right, Dave,
Sir,
you're up.
Dave Martinez, Public Defender. Gentlemen, I'd like to do something similar to what the prosecutors did in order to do a stipend to try and retain the staff that I have. I know that it's difficult and that the county's doing the best they can with the funds they have. I think I have most of the money available in a position that I cannot fill. I have a couple other positions that I have in the workload grant, so if I use some of the money from a position I haven't been able to fill, if I had to hire someone else, I would do it in the workload grant. So that wouldn't be money that you're reaching out for. I'm struggling to get enough applications. I think I found somebody who actually may put in for I have a phone call set up with her to put in for the conflict position. So, but I'd like to do something stipend-wise similar to what the prosecutors have done. I'm afraid that if my staff is going to react badly to the idea that something happened for the prosecutors that didn't for them. I know that your time is limited with us, and that the sooner that you get out from under having to deal with public defense, the happier you'll be. And I certainly get that it is a state obligation, but at this point I'd like to continue to keep the parity between our offices. As I understand it, the statute was presented this morning, so on public defense.
Oh,
So,
okay. In Boise, not here.
In Boise, and that statute, as the one I've reviewed, you just have to get to October of '24. So.
When you say the statute was presented, what do you mean?
There's been a statute presented where the state will take over public defense and
A
the
bill
county.
or a statute?
Pardon me?
We're not talking.
It's a bill right now, but it's
Oh, a
proposed
bill has been
statute.
presented.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's come from the governor's office, so yeah, there's been a lot of work done on that on the front end.
Any major changes to it from last year?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's considerably different on how the hiring will take place. It lets the counties out as of October of '24, except if they're providing office space,
Mm.
which I think exempts this county because we're not using county space.
Right.
Comments, questions?
Talk about the disparity. You have 18 attorneys in your office?
No,
How many total do you have?
13?
And then we have 2 in the conflict.
Uh-huh. That's not a disparity, though.
Well, hold on a second, I'm just tracking down.
Okay.
Well, these are budgeted positions. Just
Okay,
because they're budgeted doesn't mean they're filled.
okay, that was my confusion.
Yeah,
That's why I
sorry.
asked that question. Okay.
I should have clarified.
So, all right, so you've got 13 plus the 2 conflicts, right?
Yeah, the 2 conflicts don't have anything to do with me, but yes, we do.
Well, and I say conflicts because they're part of public defense, so,
Yeah.
okay. And so, why do you say
Then there's
that?
7 attorneys in the grant positions.
No, that 13's including them.
Okay.
Actually, we may be at 14 now, right?
And we just hired 2, so
Yeah.
So where they're coming from is we've got 9, and then the 2, and then 1 in here and 7 in here, but those are
Mhm.
budgeted positions.
Right,
Oh, wait, yeah.
with 2 vacancies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
and you
there's-
got the single, right?
There's 3 vacancies right now.
okay.
So, and the reason the numbers are different between the prosecutors and the public defenders is because the job is different in the first place. They don't have contracts, and we've done this, their clients, the jobs are very, very different. And it's not really apples to oranges because the prosecutors don't have clients. They do a very important job, and they take care of our constitutional rights as a society. But we have caseload standards because we have so many clients individually that we have to have contact with. One of the things I think that you should be happy about is that I think after it becomes a state office, I think they're going to adopt the ABA numbers, which will drop our caseload standards to 150 from 210 right now.
So your caseload now is you can do up to 210,
Yes,
but they're gonna reduce it.
yeah.
Oh, good grief. How many contract attorneys do we have, Braden?
I think we use roughly five or seven probably in a rotating pool.
Okay. And so, one of the issues that we've struggled with, and that I still struggle with, Dave, is you talk about your workload, which I appreciate that. But number one, we've never got a consistent definition of why things are conflicted out and why we're conflicting out as much. And then of your caseload, and this is something I don't understand, so I'm asking for clarification on this, but how do you determine, and I think you've told us before, but I can't remember, but how do you determine on that workload, when you just do a quick settlement versus something that goes to trial? What's the difference in score or caseload on something like
There's no
that?
difference.
So what percentage of your cases are you settling quickly versus
On
taking?
felonies, very few of them get settled quickly. In fact, almost none. Maybe 1 out of 50. Felonies require a lot of work. Misdemeanors are different.
Okay, so what's your caseload split between the two? Felonies and misdemeanors?
There's about, our office handles, I think, 1,600 felonies,
A year? And then how many misdemeanors a year?
a couple thousand. And then the juvenile cases, which are weighted differently as well. Juvenile cases and child protective actions are weighted even higher. They're weighted higher than felonies. So it's problematic, and I don't like the scoring system they use. You'll recall that I didn't hire extra people when they told me my office should be staffed at 20.
Right.
I didn't do that because it wasn't warranted. I still have people that are over their caseload standards, and we're writing letters saying this is the reason that we are saying that we're still giving constitutionally competent defense even though we're over those numbers.
So how many times a week, or what's the caseload standard for actually visiting your clients that are in jail?
There isn't one.
There isn't one?
No.
Okay.
No, they don't. That's my job, to make sure people are seeing their clients and being prepared. I require all of my attorneys to have jail time scheduled for each week.
Okay. And how often are they meeting that standard?
Every week.
I'm going to disagree a little bit, because I've had 2 family members go through this system, and they didn't see their attorneys, I'm going to say, more than once during their
Oh, I'm not saying
incarceration.
they see every client every week.
No, I understand,
Yeah.
not every client every week, but I've had 2 family members in Bannock County Jail for more than 6 months, and they did not see their attorney out there, I'm going to say, more than once during that point in time.
I don't know who that is, and I don't know who represented them. But
And I don't remember who it was either, but that, my point is, though, if you're setting that standard and it's not being met, and granted, I have a limited case sample, how are you measuring the quality of care that your clients are receiving?
Well, that's part of my job, is to make sure that if people have complaints, I get complaint letters every week. And with the population that we work with,
You're gonna get
complaint
that.
letters are nearly constant. have also met with the district, with the ADJ, because there's some cases where the judges are reassigning cases, and this is part of an ongoing problem. A lot of times people will say that they can't work with a particular attorney and they ask for a new attorney, and sometimes they suggest ineffective assistance of counsel, even though that's not a pretrial motion, that's a post-conviction.
Right.
So I finished a case last week, because I've been reassigning cases within my office rather than conflicting them. There are some people that are firing someone within the office, and I've been taking them myself.
Okay.
So I settled a case last week, got it done, and I was the 7th attorney appointed.
Okay.
So that's a conflict issue. Then that's not something I had any control over, because that's someone who went from Dan Taylor to someone else, to someone else, to someone else, and then it got to me. So we've discussed this previously, that there's an ongoing problem with, the ship is being righted now, but we lost so many conflict counsel quick in a hurry, that those cases kept getting reassigned. So I think that's
Right.
part of the problem on the conflict cost. I've also met with as I said, the ADJ and the TCA, and suggested that on some of these cases, call me. So if they want to get rid of somebody, then I'm happy to try and see if we can keep it in the office.
Well, one of the things that we required of the prosecutors is to do some things internally and before we released the funds and agreed to the plan that they were looking for. One of the things I would probably look for out of you is to give us a standard that you're using to conflict cases out, so that so we have some kind of measurable thing. And I don't know what that looks like, because I don't know. And I also want better numbers out of your caseloads and your scoring and things like that, so that we have some sort of means to track and measure progress towards what we're talking about. Because that's one of the issues we've had, is getting that definition of why cases get conflicted, and how often, or not how often, but why, and then the workload numbers.
Well, the statute, the professional rule dictates the conflicts.
I understand
And
that.
1.7, so we've had that conversation several times, and then we submit a motion to the court saying that we've identified a conflict and here it is. Then the court has the option to either say, I want you to stay on the case, or I'm going to release you.
I understand that. But we've been asking for a long time for information on why we conflict what appears to be way more than any of our surrounding counties. And if I'm asking for a definition of more than just the statute, of what your process is, and then maybe why, so we understand why our numbers are where they are. And again, your workload numbers in better detail, or better, so that we can understand that. Again, if you want more money, that's great, but where can we save money by not using our conflicts as much, or we're struggling to fill our conflict office again. And so trying to understand all that is a foreign world to me.
Yeah,
And so
and
I'm asking for help for that.
Yeah, and I mean, I can walk you through a case and show you what the conflict is. I can just come to your office and pick a case that has a conflict, and what happens is somebody reviews the entire police report. On misdemeanors, we check to make sure we're not representing a defendant and a victim at the same time, which
Right.
often happens because there are so many people in that system that are frequent flyers.
Right.
On a felony case, you read through it, if there are co-defendants, we can't represent co-defendants.
Okay.
So,
Well, I would, if
Right.
you would come to my office and sit down and
Sure.
walk that, that'd be great.
but if you look at the actual numbers of how many we're conflicting, it's not very many.
Well, I disagree with that.
Okay.
It seems like it's a fairly large number if we've got 4 outside and then we've had 2 inside that were
Yeah, I don't,
caseloads up. And again, I don't totally understand all the caseload stuff,
Yeah.
so that's why I'm trying to help understand that to a better degree.
yeah.
And we can get
Okay.
numbers too, to see, sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
We can get numbers too, to track like a weekly count. I can give those for you for when Dave comes over, and we'll see how many are getting, conflicted over the internal office as well as contractors.
Okay.
I can try to get that and
I'd
have
like to see
that.
some historical
Because
data on that. so we can-
I came that one time and we went through several months when the prior conflict counsel was asking for more money. And I went through months of cases, and there were only like 12 cases per month that were being conflicted. I mean, that was the total.
Right.
It's just not that many. But the people that got several attorneys because of the positions that kept rotating, several people got paid for that, and as I mentioned at the time, I objected to that. I didn't think the judges should let them out
Right.
because they had already been paid to handle that case. So
Right.
I didn't think the judges should allow them to withdraw, but I don't have any control over that.
Yeah, no. And I remember that discussion, so I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I think what he's getting to is all of our contractors are asking for an increase now, and, you know,
Yeah.
like, same thing as 21, they're asking for another increase in the hourly rate, and it's, you know,
I know, and it's largely a problem of availability, because Tony doesn't pay, Tony Geddes in Ada County doesn't pay as much as we do, but he doesn't have to, because there's that many lawyers that we're just short, and we have very few criminal practitioners, relatively speaking.
So I have just a couple of items, and on one of them is, like when we hired the attorney the other day, or okayed it, he's working out of Power County also. How many of your other attorneys are moonlighting on different jobs?
Just one, but the only one that we got permission.
Okay, because, I mean, if you're talking about their caseloads, whether it's in Bannock County or
Yeah.
Power County, they're all caseloads
Yeah.
that count against them, so.
No one else is doing that.
If they're, got other cases on the side, that'd be a
No, and
concern.
we we only made that agreement. He's not starting for a while, so we're hoping that we'll have all that done before he gets here. But we have one, and the work she's doing is for a tribe, and it's all after hours and doesn't have anything to do with work.
do those cases count against her PDC count?
Okay, that was a concern. And then the other part is you're talking about equality. You and Steve are basically the same wages. But your budget is about $500,000 more than Steve's.
Counting
The grants
The state money, yeah.
and stuff.
Right.
So, I mean, as you're talking about equality,
Well, I was talking about parity of pay for the individual positions. Because all of the,
it all flows in there to me. I mean, you got $500,000 more than Steve. You're putting it somewhere.
just staff wages.
So you have
Well, that
more
counts
staff.
Operating too.
Yeah, but because I have that many people
And
on
rent?
staff and rent, yeah. Which Steve doesn't
And
have.
and rent's 100,000.
No, it's
150.
Yeah.
So there's still $350,000 more in your budget than his.
Yeah, for positions that, and any of that we don't, like those positions that we don't fill, that'll all get reclaimed. They'll claw all that back.
It still goes back to the point that if you're talking about equalities, there's some inequality there. If you got $350,000 more in your budget than he does, you're putting it towards more people than he has, or I mean, so,
Only because I'm required to, not because I've made a choice that I deserve more money or anything like that, only because I'm required to, and a lot of that's driven by the lawsuit.
but that's what I'm saying, is that, so that it isn't equal. If that's the point that you're making here,
Well, the point I'm
it
making-
isn't equal.
The point I'm making is that based on the stipend, all of Steve's people are making more money than mine. That's.
And you have more people. So
No.
that equals out in my book.
I don't see how. I'm required to have that many people. Steve has as many people as he's required to have. The fact that our jobs are different and I'm required to have more people doesn't mean my people should be paid less, I don't think.
Like I say, looks to me kind of like a management decision here.
I don't understand how. I don't have any control over those funds. I cannot spend any of those workload monies on anything else other than what they're designated for. I can't control it. I cannot decide to do something else with that money.
But you are paying wages with parts of it.
Pardon me?
You are paying wages with parts of it, are you not?
Paying wages with parts of it?
Yeah.
Only for a particular person.
So,
But I can't give other people a rate, that wouldn't be fair either. If I gave people more money just because I had more funding, that would be unfair to the prosecutors.
But that's what I'm saying also. You got more people. So in essence, you're saying the same thing.
I'm not, I have more people because I'm required to based on our caseload standards. I don't have more people and therefore my people should be paid less. They're all county employees and we're doing the same essential jobs.
But you just told me you weren't. You said they're two different jobs. So,
They're all working as criminal attorneys for Bannock County. But at this point, some of my people are being paid $10,000 less than people who've only been in the prosecutor's office for a few months.
So what's your proposal?
That we just do the same sort of thing that we've done, that I take some money out of that position that's not filled and figure out how to divide that up into stipends.
Well, I would tell you, like we did with Steve, bring us a number and then sit down with Christie, figure out a number and then bring it back to us and then let us see where we're at.
Well, we have the number on that position, right?
There's $67,957 available in one of the unfilled positions,
67 what?
957.
but just like Jeff said, take that number, tell us how you're gonna divide it up amongst your people. Come bring it back to us.
Okay.
John?
How much, so we've given stipends to the prosecutor's office. I remember watching the video where that was done, but I can't recall, how long was that going to go on for?
For the year.
The fiscal year,
It was just for the fiscal year.
which ends in October. I
September.
believe.
For 30.
Yeah, I remember there was some discussion about the value of stipends. I'm not a fan of stipends.
Correct.
Nobody is.
Yeah. Commissioner Moser's made that clear in the past.
Yeah, and so I'm not a fan of this right from the get-go. And number two, I agree with Commissioner Huff that I would like to see a lot more data as to what your caseload is, what type of cases you're taking, how are they split up, what are they conflicted out before I'd be ready to make a decision.
That's what the annual report is. We give an annual report every year. It covers all of the cases that we've handled.
And when will that be coming up?
You just got it in November.
Mhm.
And there'll be another one.
Well, I wasn't here in
in
November,
November.
so I guess I'll need to get that report.
Yeah. I can make sure it's sent to you.
Thank you.
But that goes out every year. It goes to the ADJ, the commissioners, and the Public Defense Commission, which the Public Defense Commission will go away in July of '24. And that's where a lot of these regulations and caseloads and things like that, that's where they're coming from. And I think the Public Defense Commission has left a bad taste in the mouth of the legislature, and they're glad to see the back of it.
Anybody that's dealt with them.
Yeah, right.
That's just-
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have attended them meetings and
Yeah, so the amount of record keeping that we have to do just for them is bad. Ada County is, as it's at some points thought, by the way their office is funded, because they have positions just for research and writing, and they have all kinds of positions that we can't even imagine. They didn't even need state money. But we were so far out of caseload. The year before we got our first grant, I did over 300 cases.
so the request then is the report. Do you wanna spend time with him reviewing the report?
I'm sure I will after I read
Okay.
it.
And then you'll get with Jeff and review numbers, and then them numbers will come to all of us,
Okay.
and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
And with that being said, looks like